Okay, let's use this. Heck with it. Go for it.
There's a story called The Man What Forgot His Brain in the Men's Bathroom. They say a man can lose a lot of things in this life. His keys, his wallet, his dignity. But very rarely does he lose his brain. I first heard about the case on a Tuesday. The kind of Tuesday that feels like it forgot what day it wanted to be. Fog hanging low. Coffee already cold. The city moving around like it had someplace important to go to, but couldn't remember why. The call came in from a department store downtown. Not one of the fancy ones. The kind with flickering fluorescent lights and a perfume counter that smells like regret. Detective, the clerk said, we've got a situation in the men's room. Nobody ever calls about good news from a men's room. I found him standing near the sinks. Mid-40s, decent suit, clip-on tie hanging a little crooked. He was staring at the automatic hand dryer like it was explaining the meaning of life. Sir, I said, you all right? He looked at me with the empty calm of a man who had misplaced something important but couldn't remember what it was. I came in here, he said slowly, and I left with less. That's when the janitor pointed towards stall number 3. Inside, resting neatly on the porcelain tank like it had paid rent, was a brain. Pink, calm, slightly irritated. I've seen a lot of things in this town, but this one made the list. The man introduced himself as Harold Bixby, insurance adjuster, bowls on Wednesdays, pays taxes, owns 2 sensible pairs of shoes. He claimed that somewhere between washing his hands and checking his reflection, he'd accidentally left his brain behind. It must have slipped out, he said. Happens sometimes when I'm thinking too hard. The strange part? He didn't seem panicked. Most men without brains don't notice. Harold noticed. I leaned in closer to the brain. It twitched. I wouldn't, the janitor whispered. It's been humming. And it had. A low, thoughtful hum, like it was reviewing options. I've interrogated suspects before. Never one sitting on plumbing. Why do you leave you? I asked it. The brain didn't answer, but the humming sharpened. Turns out Harold had been having a difficult week. Budget cuts at work. Wife rearranged the furniture without warning. Microwave stopped rotating, but still made noise. The kind of stress that rattles a man's wiring. Sometimes when the pressure builds, something gives. In Harold's case, it gave up. Doctors arrived, 3 of them. All confused. Tests were run, scans were taken. One of them poked the brain gently with a pin and apologized. Medically speaking, it was active. Cognitively engaged. Possibly considering other employment. Harold, meanwhile, was agreeable. Too agreeable. You want to stand over there? Sure. You mind signing this? Of course. You okay if we take your wallet? Seems fair. Without his brain, Harold had become polite to a fault. No resistance, no opinions, no second thoughts. City Hall got nervous. A man without a brain is manageable. A brain without a man, that's paperwork. The mayor's office wanted it resolved quietly. Reattachment, reintegration, smiles for the press. But when the surgeon attempted the procedure, the brain refused. Monitors spiked, the humming intensified. It wasn't malfunctioning, it was objecting. That's when I understood. The brain hadn't been forgotten. It had resigned. Harold had spent years overriding it. Every time it suggested risk, change, confrontation, he smoothed it over with courtesy and compliance. Eventually, the brain decided it had enough. It waited for privacy, for fluorescent lighting, for a quiet stall, and it walked. I pulled a folding chair into the restroom and sat across from stall number 3. Just me, the brain, and the faint smell of industrial cleaners. Look, I said, he's not perfect, but he's yours. The brain pulsed softly. You leave him like this, I continued, and he'll drift through life agreeable and harmless, but he won't think, he won't challenge, he won't grow. The humming softened. Maybe he forgot you, I said, but maybe you forgot him too. There's a silence that follows the right words, even in a tiled restroom. Finally, the brain went still. The surgeons tried again. This time it allowed it. Harold blinked when he woke up. Really blinked. Sharper. I left it on purpose, he said quietly. I know, I told him. He straightened his tie. Not doing that again, he said. We stepped outside, fog lifting, and Tuesday deciding what it wanted to be. Harold went home that day, and I'm told he repainted the kitchen, applied for a new job, and bought some shoes that just didn't make sense. And as for stall number 3, it's just a stall again. But sometimes when the hand dryer kicks on and nobody's there, you can almost hear the thinking. You learn things in this job. A man can lose his wallet and recover. He can lose his nerve and rebuild. But when he loses the part of him that argues back, that's when the trouble starts. This one's for you, Harold. He left his mind on porcelain white, beneath the store's fluorescent light. A weary brain that quit mid-fight, tired of yielding wrong to right, and the night grew still and quiet. It hummed upon the toilet seat, refused reunion in defeat, then chose his skull to recomplete. And that's why I don't trust corn with access to my plumbing. Until next time, Billy Armi.